On today's show, we have Geraldine Crane. Geraldine Crane is your serene spiritual empowerment guide. She works with sensitive, heart-centered female business owners, helping them release themselves of self-doubt and feelings of not being enough so they can fully embrace who they are and stand tall, enabling their businesses to thrive. Through her unique serene spiritual hypnotherapy and coaching, Geraldine helps people to engage with their own inner wisdom and intuition, whilst also helping them to feel the support, love, and guidance of their spirit guides. And with the support of their spirit guides, helps them to release themselves of any blocks to self-love, self-appreciation, and success. Geraldine specializes in working with those who have experienced any form of toxic relationship, partly due to their professional background as probation officer, substance misuse worker, and later domestic abuse recovery worker. But mainly because 4 years ago, she came to the realization that her relationship with her mom was toxic for her and preventing her from healing from years of chronic anxiety. So Geraldine took the very hard decision to cut all contact with her mom. It was a very difficult time for Geraldine, but it led her to finally take responsibility for her own happiness and well-being. She went on a journey of healing, self-development, and spiritual growth, and all she learned on the way is now brought together in her Fearlessly Serene one-on-one program. Geraldine now loves to share her story and to help other women to trust in their own magnificence. And thank you, everyone, for joining us this day for Magical People. We have another very special guest this time, and it's Geraldine Crane. How are you this day, Geraldine?
I'm really good. It's nearly bedtime here.
Oh, I know. I realized that after with Canada versus the UK, it's like, oh my goodness, there's like 8 hours difference. I hope you're still awake. However,
I'm
people
fine.
will be people will be watching this at various times of the day or night, so it's all good.
Mm.
I cheated. I told you this off camera. I cheated and I made notes as I often do, just to cue me as to important points or topics we may want to tackle. I'm excited to have you on. I'm honored to have you on. What you're doing is very, very important work. Whether other people realize it or not, I'm sure many do. And I'm just going to quote some taglines from your website, which resonated for me. Enough is enough. Time to let go so you can leap forward. Another quote is, I guide heart-centered, I love that term, heart-centered. I guide heart-centered, sensitive women who have lost faith in themselves. Whoa, just got moved by that. To
Yeah.
reconnect with their inner knowing, their spirit guides, and start trusting in their own magnificence. I like to say magnificence with a large M, a capital M, really.
Mm.
And you call yourself as well Serene Spiritual Empowerment Guide. And we'll get to your services, etc. later. But go for it. Trust your intuition. And where do you want to start? Do you want to start with any of those quotes? Whatever you want to do. I know you help a lot of people.
Mm. So the enough is enough thing actually came from was trying to work on taglines for my business, and somebody said, okay, go to that point in your life where things changed. What was the point where things changed? And I know you've read my website, so you'll know some of this. But the big change for me was when I decided to end my relationship with my mum. So that was about 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember I'd just seen an amazing counselor who's really helped me. And she gave me permission to consider what life would look like without her in it. And I had this, I tried to have a sensible conversation and tried to put boundaries in place to keep myself healthy, and asked her to just give me a bit of space. It was particularly over the Christmas period. And because I was not well at the time, my anxiety was not good. And I just remember sitting in the middle of my lounge floor. We just had a huge argument on the phone. She'd been really, it was quite nasty, the conversation. And I just thought, enough's enough. I can't do this anymore. I can't, if I want to be healthy and be the person I really want to be, particularly the mother I want to be to my children, I need to get well, and I can't do it with this energy in my life. And yeah, enough was just that big phase. Just I can't do this anymore. Something's got to change. And so yeah, it was a massive pivotal point in my life, but so important.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Often that is the case. I've noticed with my own clients and patients and students, it's sort of like righteous indignation, for lack of a better term. It's sort of like, I deserve better than this, or I deserve different than this, not to sound judgmental.
Mm.
I deserve different than this. And you're giving yourself permission, in a sense, to get stronger, to grow, to evolve. And
Yeah.
question, did you notice that your environment, as far as friends and other people that used to relate to you or that you used to relate to, did that change very much once you went on your journey or quest of inner strength?
Yeah, there's been shifts. And it keeps going, because anybody who goes through like a spiritual awakening, a big change like that, it comes in layers. So, I had something similar many years ago, but this was probably one of the biggest. And then there's been others since then, particularly as I set up my own business and trying to help people. You find, yeah, some people fall to the background, some people come to the fore. And I think a lot's to do with where is your energy at the time. If you're very high vibration and you're really feeling your worth, you will find that can trigger some people, and it can upset them. And it's not, a lot of the time it's not coming from actually a problem with you. It's bringing up stuff for them. So it's realizing that yes, some people fall to the background, some people fall away completely, and if that's okay, that's them on their path, and they have to figure it out for themselves. So you just have to keep focusing on your own journey, keep taking responsibility for your own life, keep taking that step forward to really take care of yourself, and do the best you can, and let people learn their own path, learn their own journeys. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love too that on your website, I believe it was your website, either that or your Facebook page, you were saying you won't tell people what to do. You won't tell them to meditate. You won't tell them to keep a journal, etc. And that is so crucial, so important, because so many people, they think that they need somebody to tell them what to do. So they'll, for example, in many cases I've seen, they'll come to their therapist or their spiritual guide person or whatever, and
Mm.
expect them to be told what to do. But I've noticed too what happens. It's odd or ironic, really, that they'll listen, and whoever's telling them what to do, which really they shouldn't, but everybody
Mm.
works differently, I suppose. And then they'll go away and come back 3 months later, for example, or 6 months later, or a week later, and they hadn't done their homework. They had gone there to be told what to do, and they
Mm.
did nothing. And I found that so frustrating in my practice, because I would literally give people homework, um,
Mm.
be it affirmations, new thought, not new age, new thought, affirmations, and
Yeah.
meditation, etc. Those are just some of the tools. And even I gave them CDs. CDs? What are those? What age are we in? I don't know.
Showing our age now.
Uh-oh. And for them to listen to kind of really condition themselves to vibrating
Mm.
to a higher energy, hopefully. And they
Mm.
did very little, if anything. So I found we have to sort of be triggers in a way for people to re-empower themselves, because many expect a wand. We're going to tap them with a magic wand or a magic twig or
Yeah.
whatever, and they're going to suddenly be transformed. But I like to think that where catalysts, if you will, for people's self empowerment or re-empowerment. How do you
Mm.
feel about that? Do you agree?
Well, yeah, I think what you were quoting from was a post that I put on Facebook. And I think only a few days earlier, I'd put one on saying, if you're not ready to take responsibility, if you're not ready to step up and do the work, don't come and work with me. I'm not
Perfect.
the girl for you. You know, I will not give you a recipe. What I want to do is make you realize that you know your subconscious, your higher self, this inner divine wisdom, however you want to describe it, whatever words you want to use, you have a wisdom inside you that can guide you way better than anybody else. So even the way I work with hypnotherapy, I very much let the client guide me. Where do you need to go? What do we need to do? How do we get rid of this fear? Because they know, and their subconscious knows the best way for them. And me over guiding and telling them what they need means I could be doing something way less powerful than actually they know. So yeah, I think I just, and it's also, if I can connect you with this inner wisdom, if I can show you that you are an incredible, powerful being with all this knowledge inside you, hopefully you don't need me so much anymore. Hopefully you should be able to go on, and yes, you'll find lots of different tools that, you know, I love crystals and I love watching the moon and things, but I think if first you get the groundwork done and really connect with your own inner wisdom, then that stuff comes afterwards, and it's lovely, but it means you've always got this resilience, this innate resilience built within, and it's, yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Absolutely. It's exciting, both as a therapist and a person who perhaps, I hope, um, is a catalyst for other people's growth, or empowerment or development, etc. Um,
Mm.
you were mentioning crystals. My wife loves crystals. She's a Reiki master through me. She took my courses, almost all my dozens of courses that I used to offer commercially, and decided to do Reiki with crystals beneath the client. So the client will be laying on a table, and the crystals will be in some sort of grid, a power grid beneath
Mm.
the person to enhance the Reiki. But personally, I don't find it necessary. I love the look and feel of stones and crystals, and I recognize their sacredness, but not always necessary, because we do have that power inside. I believe that the beauty
Mm.
that we're seeing on the outside really is mirroring our own beauty. It's one and the same.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would agree. I think crystals and different ceremonies you can do, you know, all these things are beautiful, but I do think first and foremost you need to connect with your own inner wisdom. You need to know that you know, the way I coach is around the idea that we are a spiritual being having a human experience, and once you can connect with that spiritual side of yourself, that eternal side, because I really believe in reincarnation and that we are eternal, once you connect with that, it's so powerful. And once you can connect with your spirit guides and feel their love, like the love you can feel when you really connect with spirit guides, angels, past loved ones, however you want to term it, the love you get is so unconditional, so pure, it just makes you cry, but it's so beautiful that it's just life changing. Once you know you've got that behind you and with you and inside you, it's, yeah, it's powerful, powerful stuff.
Absolutely. I love that. As part of my clinical hypnotherapy um, program and things I offered folks. By the way, my teacher was Robert Shields from England. So I took his course, which was amazing. I don't believe he's around anymore. I think he's passed away. He was in his 80s, like 20 years
Mm.
ago, but was past life regression, which people were lined up for. I became a hypnotherapist to give people more so that they could explore inwardly various things, and or to give them an alternative to meditation, because that's really my base. I pursued meditation as a way to find God or higher power, or
Mm.
higher mind, whatever terms there are for that, and slipped into another realm of hypnotherapy to tackle people who were kind of more black and white as opposed to shades of gray. The shades of gray people loved the meditation as a means to an end, so to speak, or an ongoing
Mm.
journey, really is what it is. And the hypnotherapy, I originally got into to help people with unwanted behaviors, with fear elimination, which was actually the brainchild of Robert Shields, elimination therapy. And my goal was to set people on a path, or set themselves on a path, where they don't have to see me for 20 years. I know that's not the most cost effective, because but that wasn't really my goal. My goal wasn't to make millions or thousands or whatever. My goal was
Mm,
to set people on a course that was healthier for them. And
mm,
one of the ways was hypnotherapy, past life regression. They lined up for that. They wanted to know about their past lives and all of that. And then I
mm,
discovered a book by Dr. Michael Newton. I don't know if you're familiar with him,
mhm,
called Soul Regression. And
mm,
wow,
mm,
those were 2 hour sessions, which I recorded and had the person go away with. And in it, they experienced their death scene from the last
mm,
lifetime, and then the decision making process that they made to come into
mm,
this lifetime. So then
mm.
they began to realize why they're here, or discover why they're here. And that was quite moving and ground shaking, for lack of a better
Yeah.
term. Um,
Mm,
but as well, being where I am in my life and where I was in my life, I was also able to help people with their spirit guides. A lot of people believe in spirit guides and angels. A lot of people don't. It doesn't matter. It's whatever works for you. We're not here to convert people to any belief or
exactly.
religion or whatever. It's whatever
Mm,
works, whatever moves you is truth.
yeah.
I found when I moved to tears virtually, when somebody speaks something or says something, and I moved, it's like, oh, that's truth with a capital T. And actually, that's why you're here. That's why I asked you to join me today. There was something about the wording of your website and your Facebook page that felt, for me anyway, you're the real thing. There's something more going on here, and people need to hear and see more about you. And as you know, certain clients will be drawn to you and other clients won't be. And
Yeah.
that's fine. That, it has to be whatever resonates, because we're all mirrors for each other, and we all
Mm,
see, ourselves differently. Hopefully we grow and grow. I remember, I think it was Carl Jung who said, we don't solve our problems, we outgrow them. How do you feel about that? I love that statement.
oh, yeah, it's so true. It's just a constant journey, isn't it? It's that constant, you think you've just dealt with one thing and then you just go another layer deeper. Like a lot of people talk to me about forgiveness, because I often deal with people because of my history. And I was a probation officer for years, and I worked with addiction, and then I worked with victims of domestic violence. So a lot of people talk to me about forgiveness, because a lot of people have somebody or something toxic in their background, and they talk about forgiveness. And I'll always say, look, we can do some amazing work here, but it'll just be one layer, and then there'll be another one, and when you're ready, the next one will come. And it's just, and it's realizing forgiveness kind of comes in waves. You forgive one thing, and then something else comes up. And it's the same with your own healing journey with yourself. It's about falling in love with yourself, but it again comes in waves. I'll still have some days where I'm not living myself so much today, but I have got to that point now where generally I do love myself. I love who I am. I love what I do. And when the silly things I used to get so angry with myself about, and really, berate myself about, I don't anymore. I'm so much kinder to myself, and just like, oh, off again.
Yes.
I'm so gentle with myself. And that's what I'm trying to bring to my clients. I out of all of it, if there's nothing else they take away from me, but just loving themselves and being kinder to themselves, and just really embracing themselves. What I'm noticing is my clients, I get to watch a lot of them on social media after they've worked with me, and even if they don't realize it's come from the work we've done together, I see it with so many of them. They just start really embracing who they are, whether it's their spiritual side, whether it's something they want to advocate for. I had a client who suddenly really started advocating for women's rights and really came out of her shell. And, and it's really beautiful, because they just embrace who they truly are. And if that's it, I'm done. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Being authentic, being your authentic self was a term when I
Mm.
moved out to the west coast of Canada back in 1994, from sort of central Canada and eastern Canada originally. That the new age thing was very, very popular. I think it still is out here. And one of the terms I used to hear a lot was, oh, I want to be my authentic self. I don't want to reincarnate anymore. Are you kidding me? You think this is your last lifetime? No matter how, oh no,
No.
are you in for a
Sorry.
disappointment? Yeah, it's true though. Are you in for a disappointment next lifetime? If you can remember what went on last lifetime. It's like, no, no, no. I think all of us, no matter how evolved we think we are, we're still
Yeah.
going to reincarnate ad
Yeah.
infinitum. And I didn't want to burst anyone's bubble when I heard such things, but it was noble. I believe that there's a certain amount of a nobleness, if you will, to that, to wanting to be your best, to dropping any masks, to being their authentic self. But it also leaves one, or it can leave one, with a sense of vulnerability. How do you feel about that?
I think vulnerability is important. Like, I actually think if you are masking who you are, if you're hiding a mask, it will bring anxiety. I don't know if you've ever read the book The Body Holds the Score. I think there's a lot of that will come out in the body, will come out in ailments if you don't reveal who you truly are. I have a little girl who is autistic and has learning disabilities, and it's
Yes.
really important to me that she owns her autism with pride, that it's just one part of her, but I want her to not have to mask. I want her to just be her true self. And I've got quite a few friends who are on the spectrum, and it's so lovely that once they have that diagnosis, they suddenly kind of bloom into just really being who they truly are and not masking anymore. And you can see it's like a weight that comes off. But yes, there is a vulnerability that comes with it,
Yes.
but I think vulnerability is a way we connect with people. And I think it's important that you protect your energy and take care of yourself. But if we put walls up and don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we're holding stuff away from ourselves. And I think that's such a shame. I love Brené Brown's book around the power of vulnerability. I think she's got it spot on that, you have to step up and step into the arena. And yes, that makes you vulnerable. But if you don't, you're denying yourself something. And I think that's really, really important. So I really believe in the power of vulnerability. I think it's important.
Yes, if one can't be open and therefore vulnerable, how can one receive and give? I believe that one has to be able to receive humbly, if one can, in order to give. And if you
Mm,
give, there is a certain amount of openness in order to
mm,
give. So it's sort of a cycle on some
mm,
level or another. And it's so crucial. It's so crucial. But a lot of people, they will go and work on themselves, or have people be catalysts, hopefully, for their own spiritual journey and growth, and others who won't, and that's okay. Some are ready and some are
mm,
not. Some think they're ready and some think they're not. And it's
mm,
whatever inner guidance. I love your use of the term inner guidance. When I was getting my degrees through the University of Metaphysics and Sedona, they're two separate universities, but connected. Another word for intuition was God guidance. And that may not
mm,
resonate for a lot of people, the word God, and that's fine as well. It's
mm,
creator, it's that living thing, that power that hopefully
mm.
we seek within us, that love with a capital L, peace, joy, harmony, higher intelligence, wisdom, creativity.
There's so
And
many words we can use for it, isn't there? Yeah.
absolutely. And when you're meditating, or in an altered state, if you will, as soon as you feel that peace that passeth all understanding, there's
Mm,
that beauty, that could move you, and that's where you want to
Mm.
be. And that in itself will help you to heal on all levels, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. And
Yeah.
that's why personally I recommend meditation. Hypnosis works
Mm.
as well. It's just a completely different energy, self-hypnosis I should say. And
Yeah.
it's whatever resonates. I remember I had a beautiful client some years ago, and I was teaching her, was I teaching her meditation or doing hypnosis? It was one or the other. And then she asked me to try the other with her, and I wasn't secure in myself to do a guided meditation. I was doing hypnosis with her, and she wanted to lose weight, but she didn't want to do it in that very for lack of a better term, staid way, that very black and white way
Mm.
of hypnosis, the way hypnosis can be. And so she said, well, can we try a meditation for this?
Mm.
Whoa, here's the universe pushing me, perhaps.
Yeah.
And we just sat on the floor of my little office, and we went there, we did that. And sure enough, she was moved, I was moved as well. After months, she kept losing weight. She kept, rather
Mm.
than being all frustrated or worried or nervous about losing weight, she was letting go in the process of meditation and touching her higher self, if you will.
Mm.
And it was starting to drop off. And I think I saw her again a year or two later. It's that whole thing where, you give them a tool and they don't need you anymore, but that's okay. And so we reconnected some time later. And it's like, I almost didn't recognize her. She looked well. Not that she didn't look well before, but her energy
Mm.
was almost
Yeah.
like the sun, and she had taken off those pounds that judgmentally I feel a lot of people hide behind. What are your feelings
Mm.
about that, about maybe weight gain in order to hide or use as a shield?
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, I'm really I get all really I don't like I never do weight loss programs because I always think there's something else, like because I actually think you kind of need to accept your body as it is first to then
Yes.
move past. And I really think it's one of those isms that's still going and acceptable, and you wouldn't say certain racist terms, but you can still call somebody fat and use it as a negative term. So I get very mixed feelings about it. So I don't tend to do weight loss. For a start, I would never call it weight loss because I always think if you lose something, your mind will find it again. So I
Exactly.
don't
Very
work that
good.
way.
Very good.
Yeah. But it's always about, okay, what's this about? Why is your body holding the weight? Why is it not letting go of it? Like, quite often if it's around the midriff, just because there's trauma there, or it can be, you've known of cases where it's sexual trauma in their history, and by putting weight on, it feels they keeps them safe. So there can be all sorts of reasons. It's not an area I tend to I just don't seem to attract people for that reason. Most people come to me either around anxiety, around just really wanting to connect with spirit, or because they've had somebody toxic in their lives, and they just always tend to say to me, you get it. So I just wanted to come to you because you bring me a sense of peace and you get it. And it's that, I think, like you said, it's that being able to step back, and you can do it in meditation and really feel that inner peace. And what I've tried to do with my serene spiritual hypnotherapy is really bring in meditation into hypnotherapy. I don't really do clinical hypnotherapy. I work, spirit guide me as to what that person needs. They guide me while I'm got the person into hypnosis. And I'm very much guided by them when they're in hypnosis. And spirit guides get involved. I get them to meet their spirit guides while they're in hypnosis. So I'm trying to kind of bring the power of hypnosis, but the power of meditation in too. Because I learned meditation years ago in a spiritual development circle, and I found I could meditate beautifully in groups. But it wasn't actually until I learned self-hypnosis that I learned to then meditate on by myself. So it's everything I do is stuff that's worked for me. So it's just bringing it all together and helping people to yeah, get over a lot of stuff I've got over, and get to a point where I'm at now, of where I love and appreciate myself exactly as I am. Most
Awesome.
days we're still human.
Exactly. We're spirit having a human experience.
I think that's quite important. Like,
Yeah,
I talk to people about, you can get into that peaceful space, but I also say to them, I don't live in that that peaceful space. I know it's there, and that's the difference. I know I can get to it when I want to, but actually, I really believe, like, a lot of the spiritual teachings I'm interested in are like Abraham Hicks, and they talk about contrast, that actually as human beings, we're here to experience contrast, the highs and the lows. And, and it's realizing there's learning in all of them. So I don't want to, if you just lived in peacefulness all the time, you wouldn't learn. So
absolutely.
it's important to actually embrace those ups and downs, that's part of it, that's part of why we're here. And I think once you give it some purpose, it gives you a sense of resiliency as well.
Absolutely.
So,
Um, Abraham's teachings, Abraham Hicks' teachings really resonated for me some years ago, as
mm,
did a lot of the Hay House people who are
mm,
metaphysicians. And for many, well, quite a few years, I was watching Dr. Michael Beckwith. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was on
not
this
familiar with that one.
he was on the DVD The Secret, the original one
Mm,
and the redone one. The original one was far better. The energy behind it was Esther Hicks, and she
mm,
spoke a lot. And then I forget what happened. Some kind of commercial thing happened, and she backed out of the project, and they put other people in. Still very useful. The Secret,
mm,
and a lot of the basic principles are again new thought. In other words, going in and working with energy, working with source, higher wisdom, if you will, and to achieve wellness, wholeness, and
yeah.
a feeling of fulfillment. You have wonderful services. I went on the website, as we said earlier, the Soul Cleanse package, something you call Fearlessly Serene one-on-one programs. And I love the way you broke down the word serene,
Mm,
stillness, emotions, reconnection, energy, now, and empowerment. And I got that right
yeah.
away, but I double checked and I read your explanation and I thought, yep, that's it.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant, but it's also God guided. It's intuitive guided. It's
Yes. Oh, no,
obviously,
it was a download I got. Yeah,
yes,
it was actually, I was working with a wonderful business coach called Kat Marshall. She's amazing. And she was just like, this is a way of, if you think of one word that encompasses what you do and you use that as yours to structure your selling point. And that I came up with the word serene because that's just the way I work, and the way people describe me. But I was trying to get to sleep one night, and that's when often I get downloads, and they were just like, no, actually, this is the form your program needs to take. And then they took me through, stillness,
yes,
helping people to find that sense of peace, helping emotions is around not resisting your emotions, but realizing they're an indicator of the thinking that's going on and beliefs that you're believing that aren't true. And it then went into I'm trying to remember the words there. Reconnection. That's a really beautiful hypnotherapy session where you get to meet your guides and really connect. And then energy is a lot of the Abraham Hicks teachings of, not having upstream thinking, of thinking everything has to be really hard, but letting go and going downstream and letting, and spirit, universe, God, divine intelligence, whatever you want to call it, letting it guide you. Now is the power of now, is being present, is not letting your mind get lost, exhausting yourself thinking about the past that just doesn't exist anymore apart from in thought, and also not worrying about imagined futures that again only exist in thought, but keeping yourself in the present moment, because that's the only thing that's real. And actually, if you get lost in the past or the future, you're missing what's going on right now, and there's usual great beauty in the now. So I was working on that. And then empowerment is a really beautiful hypnotherapy session where we find out what are the blocks to you really loving yourself and accepting yourself, and it's really beautiful. So yeah, I'm very proud of my serene way. It's it came about. It's basically everything that helped me recover after I cut my mum out, and the deep anxiety I felt. After cutting ties with somebody like that, somebody who's so deep part of your life, I adored my mum. She was the center of my world, but I found out she was very, very toxic for me. And cutting her out meant I went through absolute peaks and troughs of grief, shame, joy, relief, anxiety. It just was so much to work through, but these are all the things in that serene model that just helped me find peace. And I just love doing it. I really love it.
Awesome.
Can you tell?
So exciting. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers and listeners will resonate to you. And let's say folks want to pursue something more with you. Let's say they want to go on a spiritual journey. Let's say they want to explore themselves, their higher selves, and just get to meet you. How can they get in touch? What's your website's address?
So it's really simple. It's www.geraldinecrane.com. So
Yes.
very, very easy. I'm also on Instagram as Geraldine Crane Serene, I believe, and Facebook. I'm so easy to find. I'm on LinkedIn. If you Google me, I'll come up. Just Google Geraldine Crane and I'll be there.
Yes.
So yeah, it's easy to find me.
It's important to be accessible to those who may or may not, need you or resonate. It's so important. I want to thank you so much, Geraldine, for taking a bit of time to see me and to connect, hopefully, with others today. Will you come back sometime?
Of course. I've loved this. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Same. Very thankful. Thank you so much again, Geraldine Crane. And I want to thank all of you out there as well for watching and listening. We'll see you all again really soon.